German lady rescues two stray kittens from a barn, unaware of what one of them would grow up to be. Rescuing animals is highly encouraged by the community of animal lovers. It's recommended to adopt a pet from animal shelters. They do such a great job of helping strays. They provide care for animals who need protection and also find a home for them. The experience of opening your home for a stray and showering them with love is the best feeling. They become a part of your family as you get to know and love all their quirks and characteristics. Nicole Bohm, a German woman, experienced this joy when she rescued two kittens from a farm. She took them in, nursed them back to health, and provided them with tremendous love. Life was going well until things took an unexpected turn. One of the kittens started showing some changes. Nicole didn't see coming what happened next. Nicole Bohm had been an animal lover ever since she was a little girl. Growing up in a strict family, Nicole was not allowed to keep pets at home. No matter how much she pleaded and begged, Nicole's mother would not budge. So she'd often sneak out to her uncle's farm to feed the horses and help him with everyday chores at the farm. This was her favorite thing to do after school. As an adult, Nicole still loved to visit her uncle at the farm. During the weekend, she would always manage to find the time and spend the day helping him around. Her uncle was not as fit as he used to be. He was much older now, a fringe of gray-white surrounding his balding scalp. He spent his weekends hunched over his armchair, leaving Nicole to take care of the farm. It was a Sunday morning. Nicole was standing outside the barn gate. The mud lay in uneven patches scattered over the sloped farmyard. The old hay barn had stables at the front with those old half doors to allow the horses to view the yard. To the right was the pig pen where the pigs lived in bliss, ignorant of the world surrounding them. Behind the farm, the stone mountains stood up against the sky. The smell of manure hung thickly in the air over a more subtle scent of the trees and the freshly watered grass. This was Nicole's favorite place in the entire world. Whenever she felt the need to get away from the busy city life, she'd come down here to forget all about it. Nicole was ready to close the barn gate when she heard a tiny cry from the corner of the barn. She began walking towards the sound. Her eyes spotted a pair of kittens cuddled together. They were black with a few white spots on their bodies. Nicole was confused about how they ended up here on the farm. They didn't have any cats. The kittens did not seem older than 3 or 4 months. They were in a desolate state. Nicole noticed they had mites and yeast infection in their ears. Their furs were thin and dull, unwashed and bare at a few spots. She realized they'd been abandoned by someone. It hurt her to see them suffer, so she picked them up and brought them inside her uncle's cottage. Nicole had been meaning to get a cat of her own for quite some time now. Little did she know this is how fate will work. Instead of one, she found 2 kittens who needed a home. She decided to take them back with her. They finally had a home. Nicole named them Ellie and Rossi. Nicole took her cats to the vet as they were in dire need of medical care. They were both severely malnourished and had an infection. The vet took care of them and instructed Nicole on things she needs to do to take care of them further. She mentioned that the kittens would not have survived another week if she hadn't brought them in. Nicole was happy she'd found her little furry family. Ever since the day Nicole found those kittens on the farm, her sole purpose has been to nurse them back to health. She religiously took care of them, fed them, bathed them. Slowly, the kittens got back to a healthy state. Now that their fur was growing back nicely, Nicole noticed that they both had the same black and white fur, which resembled a tuxedo. After regaining their health back, the kittens were slowly making themselves at home. Ellie was more playful than Rosie. Sometimes Nicole would wonder that Ellie acts more like a dog than a cat. She would even play fetch with Nicole, which she'd never seen a cat do before. Nicole had found her perfect little family. Ellie and Rosie would occupy most of her days. They loved to chase Nicole around the house. She got them cute beds with their names on each. Rosie was more reserved in nature, coming in to see Nicole only when she needed to be petted and fed. Ellie, on the other hand, was more playful. She adored them both like she would love her own babies. It had been a few months since Nicole found Ellie and Rosie at the farm. They were both much healthier and happier now at their home. It was a lazy Saturday afternoon. Nicole had decided to have a relaxing weekend. She was busy painting a portrait of Ellie when she noticed a white spot near her neck. At first, Nicole thought it might be lint. She tried to take it off and realized it's Ellie's fur, which had turned white. Nicole was confused. She was aware when cats grow old, their fur turns gray, But Ellie was barely a year old. She brushed the thought aside. Ellie was black and white. Maybe she didn't notice this spot before. It was barely anything. Over the next couple days, Nicole noticed a few more white spots develop on Ellie's fur. They showed on her face first, then some more around her neck. A few strands on her tail had turned white too. She'd started to worry now. Something was going on. It was a breezy afternoon. The sky was bright baby blue. Nicole was on her way to see the vet. She was cradling the basket in which Ellie was asleep. Ellie's fur changing color had freaked her out. She felt guilty for brushing it aside initially, for not thinking too much about it. But after seeing more of her fur change color, she decided it was time to get some answers. Nicole was seated in the waiting area, her anxiety getting worse by the minute. The waiting area was strangely empty. Supposedly people don't come knocking at the vet's door first thing in the morning. After what felt like hours, Ellie was called in for the exam. Nicole asked if she could tag along. The vet smiled, reading distress on her face, and said, "I wouldn't have it any other way." The exam initiated by taking a brief history of Ellie to figure out any history of illness or disease or any symptoms Nicole might have noticed. Nicole told him about spotting the white mark on her neck, but apart from that, not much was different about Ellie. She was still active and very playful. The vet conducted several tests to get an idea about what may cause premature aging in cats. To Nicole's disappointment, the vet could not come up with an explanation. He told her he's not quitting and he'd like to give her an exam sometime to figure things out for Ellie. Till then, Nicole can take Ellie home because, as per the physical exam, nothing's wrong with Ellie. She's perfectly healthy. Even though the vet said Ellie was otherwise healthy, Nicole didn't feel much better. She was still concerned about the changing color of her fur. She was afraid this might be something big which the vet missed out on. But he'd asked for a little time, and Nicole gave him that. She took Ellie home and waited for his call. Ellie's fur kept changing color. Nicole could spot new white hair on her every day. Her body still mostly had black hair, but lots of white hair too. Ellie's face already had a white mouth, but now it was almost entirely white. Her tail was mostly white with a little black in it. Nicole, however, did not have any idea still as to what may be causing this. Ellie was changing colors so fast and so frequently that every morning before leaving for work, Nicole would try to picture Ellie in her mind. She was afraid when she comes home she might not be greeted by the same cat she saw in the morning. Not having any explanation for this was driving her insane. In the next couple of weeks, Ellie transformed into a completely white cat with bits of black fur on her body. Nicole couldn't believe this had happened right in front of her eyes. Ellie went from a black cat with white markings to an almost completely white cat with black markings. She'd changed so much that she looked like an entirely different cat now. It was a Monday morning when Nicole received the call she'd been waiting for all this while. It was the vet. He claimed he had the answers Nicole was looking for, and she should come down to his clinic with Ellie. This news was like music to Nicole's ears. She'll finally find out what's happening with her beloved cat. Nicole took Ellie to the clinic as fast as humanly possible. The vet was waiting for them and immediately took them inside the exam room. Nicole's heart was pounding in her chest. The vet sat across them in his chair and began talking. Turns out Ellie wasn't aging. She had a condition called vitiligo. Vitiligo is a skin condition that results in losing skin color in patches. Nicole was aware of this condition in humans, but didn't know it could happen to animals too. This condition is very rare in humans, affecting about 1 to 2% of the world's population. But when it comes to animals, it's even more rare. Vitiligo is linked with other health concerns too, like hair loss and other medical conditions, such as hyperthyroidism. Nicole was concerned that there are other symptoms or other medical issues with Ellie. But the vet assured her that Ellie is a healthy cat, and apart from her fur changing colors, no other symptoms are affecting her. Nicole knew that Ellie and Rosie were from the same litter. They both shared the same tuxedo fur, and she found them together abandoned at the farm. So when she came to know this disease is hereditary, she wondered why Rosie's not shown any symptoms yet. She decided to ask the vet if it might affect Rosie too. He said it's not the case because even though they're born from the same litter, it's not necessary that her siblings will develop the same condition. Plus, if Rosie had this condition, chances are her fur would have started changing by now. The vet assured her that even with this condition, Ellie can go on to live a normal, healthy life, just like any other cat. This condition only gives her a unique look. She's still the same kitty that Nicole picked up all those months ago from the barn. This disease is not life-threatening at all. Nicole was relieved to hear that Ellie is healthy, and apart from her looks, nothing's changed. She thought even the change of fur is adorable and makes her look like a snowy owl. She was still Ellie, warm, cuddly, and playful. Nicole thanked the vet for committing to Ellie's case and providing her with answers that nobody else could. Ellie's transformation is incredible. Nicole's still not used to the massive difference Ellie shows in her looks. Whenever Nicole would look at pictures from when she found Ellie, they make it look like Nicole got a different cat altogether. The best part is that Ellie did not have to go through any medical treatment, as Nicole was worried about when she didn't know what was happening to her. Ellie turned 3 in March 2019. She's the happiest little kitty who loves to play and chase Nicole around the house. Rosie did not develop vitiligo in all these years, so Ellie was the only kitten of her litter with this rare condition. Nicole couldn't be happier with the progress her fur babies have shown over these couple years. Nicole created a social media page for Ellie and documented her journey on it for everyone to see. She uploaded her photos from when she was a little black and white kitten till now when she's a mostly white with little black patches on her fur. People were certain to admire the uniqueness of Ellie's condition. Ellie's social media page did more than show off her white coat and cute pictures. It acted as a means to spread awareness about vitiligo. Nicole came to know that most of the people had never seen vitiligo in a cat before. People came forward to thank Nicole for creating awareness about the condition. Ellie's story gave hope to so many people who were living with vitiligo. Although the condition is rare, there's still a significant amount of people who are affected by it. We live in a society where people are too much into their looks, so living with vitiligo can be challenging. It's a condition that may consume someone's life. Ellie stopped changing color ever since she turned 3 this March. Nicole, however, still posts about her on social media. Ellie's created a platform for people to discuss and talk openly with each other. She's a little social media star who promotes self-love. She continues to spread positivity and awareness among people across the world. Nicole's story on how she adopted Ellie and Rosie and how she cared for them inspired people all around the world, especially people who do not wish to adopt. They could see how adopting helps save both the kittens' lives and how they too can help save a life and provide a home for a stray. Having vitiligo doesn't mean animals are in any pain of any sort. Nicole made sure to confirm the same with the vet. The condition's very rare in humans and even more rare in animals, so vets make sure to check if there are any underlying reasons for fur changing color. If not, then there's no reason to panic if your pet develops this condition. There are many reasons for vitiligo, one of which is stress. This might be the case with Ellie, as she was abandoned on a farm with Rosie and they were in really poor health condition. Other reasons can be the immune system of a body, as it can sometimes attack the cells which produce the color of the fur, thinking it's a foreign body. Even though vitiligo is said to be hereditary, a litter can have one baby with vitiligo, even if parents don't have it. In humans, the condition runs in the family. Almost 30% of the people who are living with vitiligo have a family member who has the same condition. However, this may not always be the reason behind catching it. Vitiligo, even though it's a rare condition with animals, there are several cases of vitiligo that appear in cats, dogs, and even horses. There's currently no treatment for vitiligo for animals, but there's no need for it anyway, because it doesn't affect any animal's quality of life. It just makes them special and unique in appearance. Vitiligo is common in all animals, but when it comes to dogs, there are a few breeds that are more at risk to develop this condition than others. German Shepherds, Dachshunds, Golden Retrievers are some of the many that are at greater risk of catching the disease. All types of cats are prone to vitiligo, but the condition is still relatively unknown among cats. Vitiligo affects both male and female species in animals. It's more noticeable in animals with darker fur. It usually starts at the paws, face, or legs, but can spread over time, just like in Ellie's case. But animals don't care about how they look, and maybe seeing this refreshing change in Ellie is what people were inspired by. Unlike animals, humans tend to care about how they look, so there are creams that can be purchased and applied to even out the skin tone. Living in a society that's obsessed with looks and materialistic things, it can be quite a challenge to live with vitiligo. People are insecure about how they look and hide behind makeup. The famous artist Michael Jackson spoke about having vitiligo. His disease was so unheard of at that time that people did not believe him and claimed he's bleaching his skin to become white. But the singer's autopsy confirmed he had vitiligo. It was one of the things that made him turn to plastic surgeries. When Michael Jackson spoke out about his condition, that was the first time this disease was spoken about on a large scale. It raised a lot of awareness in the community. Fans argued with skeptics who claimed he's bleaching his skin, that he has patches of white skin, which is the pattern of vitiligo, not bleaching. One of the consequences of having vitiligo is that it can affect one's mental health and self-esteem. Ignorant people may mistreat those who are living with this condition. People can get bullied and treated as untouchables. This kind of experience can cause serious distress. There are some treatments that people can take to even out their skin tone, but there's no way to stop it from spreading or reoccurring. Self-love is a journey that doesn't happen overnight. It's a process that happens a little every day over a continuous period. There have been several body positivity movements that support people with vitiligo and spread awareness among people. Spreading awareness can help others cope with the emotional toll the condition brings. The growth in positivity towards vitiligo has reached the fashion runways too. In 2018, Victoria's Secret fashion show debuted their first model with vitiligo to ever walk their runway. The model was seen getting emotional as she walked side by side with the rest of the models for the first time at any Victoria's Secret fashion show. It's great to see the growth and acceptance this world has experienced over the past couple years. People have evolved to be at peace with the things they used to look at as imperfections. People have started to be more open and talk about things on different platforms to spread the message of embracing our flaws and being comfortable in